Welcome to Mastery with Science, home to mad scientists, rogue entrepreneurs, and the coaches with the mostest, featuring JB and the Doctor. Join us in our lab where we mix the old recipes with new formulas and our secret sauce to create incomparable, next-level proven results for you. We call this Mastery with Science. So, slap on your gloves and put on your goggles because JB and the Doctor are in the lab.
It's alive!
Welcome back to the lab. I'm JB.
I'm the Doctor.
Thank you for joining us today. If you are a new listener, we are high-performance coaches, hyper-specialized on working with service-based professionals and entrepreneurs. We help them with 3 specific parts of their life and businesses. We help improve and power up productivity, enhance positioning and presentation skills, and supercharge your sales.
Say what?
You get me every time with that talk. All right, we believe in a be rich mindset here at JB and the Doctor. That means we like to work with people who have a burning, indomitable desire to have a be rich mindset. When we say be rich, we mean people want to rise to mastery, inspire greatness, celebrate knowledge and growth, and help others along the way.
So come be rich with us.
Yeah, if that sounds like you, this is for you. And we've got a private Facebook group. We'd love for you to join if that sounds like something you'd be interested in. It's called Entrepreneur Mastery Lab, and you can find the details in the show notes.
Or just type that in at Facebook.
I don't really know what I was pointing at right there because they cannot see me.
And they didn't know you were doing that until you told them.
Well, yeah, I'm a transparent guy. You see what you get, even on a podcast. All right, Doc? Well,
I'm lucky that you can't.
Yeah. What's that mean?
That they can't see you.
Hey, be kind over there, all right? All right. I am super excited. If you haven't heard her, she's laughing in the background already. We've got a special guest joining us this week, Miss Nicole Golemi of Alison South Marketing. Nicole, I got to say, she's got this fantastic bio, unbelievable woman. One of the first people I met networking here. And a lot of really fond memories of working with Nicole and hanging out with Nicole. She's introduced me to some incredible people, and we've become close family friends. So Nicole is originally from New Hampshire. She's lived here in Florida for almost 12 years now, and she's worked in a number of positions, but most recently in business development with Alison South, going on 2 years. She is also involved in a big way with a lot, and I mean a lot, of nonprofits and charities. She's an absolute inspiration. She's gotten me involved with some nonprofits down here myself, and she is the real definition of giving back and helping others. So without further ado, Nicole, thanks for joining us. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me, JB. That was an incredible intro. I don't think anybody's ever introed me like that before. So I'm blushing.
All right. We're off to a good start. So, we've set expectations up high. We got to keep them. Nicole, you do an awful lot at Alison South, and I want to touch on that in a minute. I actually want to start, though, with the nonprofit side of things. The Doc and I really do believe in giving back. And one of my favorite memories of all time, you and I, is when we actually went and we helped some families go school shopping for their kids for new clothes that couldn't afford it. And I'm not sure if you recall that a couple years ago or not.
I do. That was like one of the very first times we had hung out. That was awesome. We brought both of our kids and our spouses, and we went on a big shopping spree, and the kids got to come with us and pick out all the stuff they wanted. And that was awesome. That was a really, really great event. It was
special, and anytime you give back, it can be special, but, to have that impact on somebody's life, especially kids, school is hard enough, but to not be able to afford new clothes or even essentials. I mean, we're talking, underwear and socks and sneakers and the things that most of us take for granted is pretty life altering. And it's just a great thing. And I would have never even had heard of that if it wasn't for you. So thank you even for introducing me to that. But being able to take part in it with you and your family is just awesome.
Awesome. That was really, those are the events that make it all worth it. Like you can go to all the networking events and sit on the committees and go to all the fun stuff, but the ones where you really get to get your hands dirty and see the kids or see the people you're helping or the animals or the environment or whatever, one of the 50 different things that I've always got my fingers dabbling in. Those are the ones that really make it worth it and are the most, memorable and keep you coming back for more and always looking for more ways to help. So
I'm curious, what inspired you to get so involved? How did it all start? What's behind the big drive to be involved?
It originally started, my husband was involved with United Way, with their Next Gen United group. So, like the young professionals. And he brought me to one of their events and I started kind of going with him to events, a job that I was working for, running their front office. They were really heavily involved in United Way and a couple of other nonprofits, but they never went to anything. And so they were like, Nicole, you are now in charge of community relations. Like we're spending money, we're donating stuff, we're sponsoring things, but no one's ever at it. And we're not really taking, they were looking at it at the business side and they were like, we're not really taking advantage of it. We don't know the events that we can get our employees involved with as far as like volunteer stuff. So they were like, you're in charge. And I was like, okay, sounds good. That sounds fun. I can do that. And so I went to, one of my first United Way events for them and it was awesome. And I was like, whoa, this is really cool. Like these people are making an impact. They did a lot of stuff with like Arc Broward and 211. So they were really heavily involved in the kids space. And so I started going to those things and then, like a good nonprofit does, they saw a new face and immediately invited me to come back to do some more stuff and join a committee and be a part of this and that. And, I kind of took the way that I grew up, single mother, only child household, always kind of knowing, how important family is and support, but also kind of always just being on your own, learning from that and saying, there's a way to give back to other people that are kind of growing up the same way that I did. So it was really more a personal like motivation that got me to continue staying involved even after I had left that job and stopped doing community relations for them, to just continue being involved. And United Way was really my first introduction to that. And so once I became a part of United Way, I started working with all of their funded partners. They've got like 72 different funded partners. And so you start going and visiting all these other nonprofits that they're helping, and really seeing the needle get moved in a positive and impactful direction. And so, once you get involved with one, you meet people on your committees that are involved with another and involved in another and involved in another. You can't say yes to all of them, but because you do have to probably keep a real job and some personal life in there too. But it's something that I really genuinely enjoy doing in my free time and, during the day and meeting people and introducing people to different nonprofits that might be what they have more of an interest in, just to try and do good all around. So that's kind of how it started and where it started and why it's continued.
That's I gotta imagine there's a lot of meaning and fulfillment you get from being that involved. Doc, it reminds me of kind of that snowball turning into an avalanche that we've talked about, right? Just a little bit of a change here can really drive some powerful results, whether it's for you personally or for everybody else you're making an impact on. And I think those go hand in hand. Those marry together really well.
You see, when you see a difference being made, it just motivates you more to keep making it, right? So like you're saying, JB, with the snowball to the avalanche, is one little thing, one smile could be enough to motivate the next smile. And then when you see another smile, those just it gets contagious almost for you, right? It almost becomes like an addiction to, I want to keep seeing more smiles. and that's what the avalanche that comes.
Yeah, that's a great way to explain it. It really is. It started off as just a snowflake, and now I'm like Frosty the Snowman over here. I'm made up of so many. So.
And I swear I didn't throw out the snowball or avalanche or anything because I know you love New Hampshire and the mountains in the winter. That's just happenstance, I promise. it's really cool to hear, because we do believe so much in giving back and helping others. And I absolutely love, I really do, how you've taken some of your experiences as a kid and you turned around and said, hey, I can do something about this to put people in a position where they can be a little better off than maybe I was. And I can be a positive influence in their lives where maybe I didn't have one in mine at the time. And it's really, I mean, it's just really nice to see, somebody able to do that and have some conviction around doing that. So it's just awesome.
Oh, thanks, y'all. Yeah, it's a great experience.
Yeah, and I will not call her a unicorn, Doc, I promise. I guess I have this habit of calling everybody a unicorn. So you are not a unicorn, Mrs. Golemi.
Lots of unicorns out there. But from a science standpoint, well, and helping others is a big part of our Be Rich mindset. But not only do we know it's just good to help others along the way, and scientifically and psychologically speaking, it does activate parts of your brain that are just different. And that piece of the gratitude, looking back at it and how you can, it's not something that you can quantifiably measure, but it's there, and it does spark different parts of your brain, and creativity comes from it, joy comes from it. It improves your work, it improves your mood. So there's just so many things that get elevated from doing something that's naturally good anyways. So even scientifically or psychologically speaking, there's a big plus to it.
Yeah, there are definitely events like the one with the shopping with the kids, or doing holiday crafts with, kids that live in a group foster home. There are just events that you can just think back on. Like, they make you feel really great while you're doing it. They make you feel really great once you leave. But that long lasting feeling, like, you can just think back on it and feel the same amount of appreciation and excitement and happiness that you did that same day. Those are like really important. Those are great events and memories to have. And, I bring my son, he's 5.5, to just about any volunteer event that I can, so that he starts feeling that way. He's done Operation Turkey with us, and puts, he can't carry a 30-pound turkey, but he can carry a turkey aluminum pan. And, you've got the veterans that are driving through and they pop their trunk, and he's like 3.5, 4 years old, putting pans in the back of people's trunks and helping us put boxes of food in there for veterans and people that really need it. And, he's 5 and he already feels good about it. And he is getting like a sense of self-worth and helping people, and how important that is to always give back and take care of other kids and other people at a young age. So that's important for me too, to make sure that he is introduced to that early.
It's so inspiring. I just gonna say it. You got something coming up. You need an extra hand. You need some help. You let me know. I'm there for you. All right. Yeah, whatever happens with you. Yeah, I want to get involved. I want to do something else. I absolutely love it. It's inspiring. Yeah, that story about your kid, I mean, it's just inspiring. Yeah, he's doing more at 3, 4, 5 years old than a lot of people do in their lives. And I really believe we all want to make a greater impact, and we all are much more fulfilled when we have the opportunity to do it. So we're talking a lot about nonprofits and getting involved and giving back. But Alison South kind of goes hand in hand with that, right?
Yeah, Alison South, we have many clients in general who are nonprofits that we work with, as far as trying to help them figure out, donor generation. Like, one thing that we always tell people, whether they're a nonprofit or a regular client, is, we're not a lead generation company. We're a brand management company. We help you get your voice out there and people understand who you are and what your mission is. And really, there are very few businesses and industries that need a brand and a voice more than a nonprofit does. A nonprofit, the whole point is to get out a voice and a mission and let people understand who they are and what it is that they're doing in their communities. So we work with a lot. We work from anywhere from humane societies and ASPCAs to veterans organizations to foster homes, sailing foundations. Really the board is quite wide on the different types of nonprofits that we work with. And we work with them in many capacities, whether it be helping them actually define their brand, whether it is just a sponsorship of an event, whether we're taking the team out there to do a big volunteer opportunity for them, underwriting something, hosting something. We are all very, very active. Alison South constantly is encouraging all of our employees to join a board, join a committee, get involved. They'll pay for whatever it is that you need to pay for, even just so that we can always be involved in our community. It's really important to Alison South that our employees and the people that we work with are involved in giving back on a constant basis. Our COO, Kate Sanders, came from the American Red Cross. I came from Chamber Worlds and obviously have all of this different type of experience as well. And whenever I can introduce someone we work with to a nonprofit or give them some advice, or we brainstorm on how we can help them raise more money, I'm always open to do that and here to help anybody who really wants to learn more about a nonprofit or how to just get involved. A philanthropic resume is just as important as your career resume, at least in my eyes, and to a lot of people too. It's important to have that. It helps you build more skills and be a better person, and in your personal life and in your professional life. To be involved with something like that really helps build you up and make you well-rounded.
I want to hit on something that you talked about there that probably went unsaid, but I think it's important to point out. When you look at Alison South and the work that you're doing with nonprofits, you said, Nicole, to paraphrase, that who better to get or to need promotion and brand awareness out there. I would also say on the flip side, and it's really a compliment to Alison South here and to you, what harder space to create promotion and brand awareness in than the nonprofits. I mean, it takes you've got to be phenomenal at what you do in order to work that space. That says something.
Yeah, that's definitely true. It's they are really fun clients to work with, but they definitely are extremely challenging. There's just in like Broward County alone, there's almost like 4,000 nonprofits or some like seriously like obscene number of nonprofits that are like just right here in Broward. So, you're fighting through a lot of noise constantly. You're literally battling other nonprofits for people's dollars. Whether it is somebody that you just want to buy an event ticket or be part of your golf tournament or be an annual donor, and then even reaching farther to convince people to actually donate their time. So that's like a really big thing. It's always great to have the dollars, but you really, nonprofits thrive a lot and depend a lot on people donating their time and their talent to their organization to help spread the message, to be advocates of what they're doing. So it's both sides. You're helping them build an internal culture and community, as well as reaching out to help them actually raise money for funds so that they can keep doing, whatever it is that they're supporting in the community.
Can you speak a second? I know a lot of people that I've talked to over the years, when we talk about nonprofits, a lot of it is how do I find a nonprofit to work with? And a lot of times you get introduced or about the main ones, like the real big nonprofits, and most of them, their boards are filled. But as you're saying, over 4,000 in Broward alone, that means there's a lot of people out there that probably need some board members, need some help. And even if it's not on a board, like you just said, volunteering and doing some work. Do you have one or two good tips on how someone that might be interested in our audience, on how they can find that and how they can get engaged?
So it sounds like kind of obvious, but like ask. Like, I'm sure that there are a lot of people, who volunteer somewhere, go and do an education class, are involved in a committee, and maybe they're just not, they haven't been trained enough on their side either to go out there and talk to people like about it. So really, when you're talking in your circles, and, I've have friends that I've been friends with for a long time, and I sit with Habitat Broward, and we do women builds and the Habitat Young Professionals group. And I mean, it took 2 years for someone to even like bring it up in conversation. And they were like, oh, we're really interested in doing that women's build. Have you heard of this? And I was like, oh yeah, like I sit on that committee. Like I can definitely get you involved in that. But really, like, Facebook is a really good place to find nonprofits. you can look at these big places that you know, like you mentioned, that are really obvious: Joe DiMaggio Children's Hospital, the Humane Society of Broward County, United Way, KID. But there are a lot of really, you know, that are smaller nonprofits that are always looking for people to help and really just help them spread the word. Abandoned Pet Rescue is a great example of someone that is obviously overshadowed by someone so big like the Humane Society of Broward County, who seems like a no-brainer, and they're just going to go and, oh, I'm just going to go sit with the Humane Society. I sit with the Humane Society too, so I'm not going to knock them or anything, but it's like, you know, there are a lot smaller ones who are doing really, you know, they're focused. They're a lot smaller. Humane Society of Broward County is the whole Broward County. Abandoned Pet Rescue is like over back on Oakland Park Boulevard, and like it's just dealing with like this smaller Fort Lauderdale area. So they have as big of an impact, if not larger, than the Humane Society, because they're so concentrated in one area, so they can really help a lot. An organization that we have is that we work with Alison South, and that I've been really close with for years, Children's Harbor. Children's Harbor is an organization. They are a residential group home out in Southwest Ranches, and they take what in the biz is called bigs. So kids who are 12 years old or older are more likely to not get adopted and just spend the rest of their adolescence in foster care. And so they take those kids, the kids that are more difficult to get placed, the kids that are more difficult to get adopted. They also take siblings so that siblings can stay together. And they also take teen moms. Not a lot of people know that they're out there. They're, you know, West Broward is like basically a different country as compared to like the ones that are actually located here in downtown Fort Lauderdale and East Fort Lauderdale, that are easier to get to, easier to find. But, you know, they're way out there. They've got a huge campus, and they are doing really, really, really great work, but they need help. So, you know, we're helping them as far as helping them define their brand and their voice and how they're positioning themselves to build their donor base up. But they really just need people to go out there and volunteer. They need people to talk to their kids. You know, a 5-year-old is way more likely to get adopted than a 16-year-old kid who's, you know, having problems in school. So they really take on a huge challenge. And again, they're a lot smaller, so people don't really know who they are, but they're doing big work, really impactful work.
It just goes to show, when I said that Nicole is involved with a lot of nonprofits, that I might have been underselling her a little bit, because I work with nonprofits. She's sitting here and she is like this fountain of knowledge around this. I think it's very on brand, Nicole, that as a business development specialist, the first thing you say is just ask, because it's amazing how much you can accomplish simply by asking. You can't go wrong by asking. You have nothing to lose. And my gut instinct is, any of our listeners who want to get involved know now that they can ask you, but also
of course you can.
They probably have like a book full of nonprofits written down, like I do over here, about all the places you just mentioned. So I love it. I love the passion. I love how you feel. I think it you know, we have a certain, you know, part of us that there's an energy that you have when you give back, and it's apparent. And it's got to provide a lot of blessings to you, and not just the people and the impact. And it's so cool. It's really cool to talk about from my perspective. I think more entrepreneurs, more business people, they need to do this. It's something that they're missing. Yes. Being a part of this community is just something that they're not doing necessarily, and they ought to be, because it's got so much benefit.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, you know, you're here, especially if you're an entrepreneur and you own your own business, or, you know, you're a partner in something and you're building something, you have to connect to your community. And so, yeah, it's really great, you know, to do all of this out of the goodness of, you know, of your heart, out of my heart, to want to be able to give back. And everybody has their different reasonings to do it. My suggestion is always, you know, you don't have to sit on 27 different boards or committees, because it does take a lot out of you. But, you know, you got to pick. My advice would be to pick one that you really care about, whether it's animals or habitat or, you know, United Way or kids or the environment. No nonprofit is a bad nonprofit to join. as far as the mission goes. Of course, there are some nonprofits out there, but so you pick something that just really means a lot to you, and you're more likely to dedicate that time and that effort and that advocacy to them if it really means something to you. But if you're a business owner, I mean, you have to be involved in your community. And yeah, it is. It's great to give back. It's great to, be involved. But it really is, when I talk about that philanthropic resume, it's good for you professionally speaking. You meet a lot of other like-minded professionals and entrepreneurs that are involved in these nonprofits. And it is good, that all PR is good PR, basically. So, you want to be able to sponsor something and show that you're giving back. And, it builds an internal culture within your company and the people that you work with to show them that you are giving back. This is really great. And, it doesn't hurt to meet a couple of people that you can network and do business with too while you're out there. It's a double-edged sword, but it's very smooth if you can ride it the right way.
I want to just double down on that piece, because I think we get that misconception, right? That if we're doing something good, we can't feel good about it, or we might not, like, oh, I can't brag about this, or I don't, if I go there and network, is that the wrong thing to do? Absolutely not. One of the big things I say all the time is more than one thing could be true at any moment. And you can be doing a lot of great things, but also it's probably one of the best places to network, because now you are surrounded by other people, probably in either similar fields or similar thinking that you have. They're seeing that you're putting in time and effort and energy, so they can get a sense of what you do. Yeah, take advantage of that while also doing good. Like, those both things can happen at the same time and not feel at all bad about it.
Oh yeah, most definitely not. I mean, even in Alison South capacity, we're clearly building people's brands while we're out also dedicating time. And so, we're doing both things at the same time, showing people our, capacity and what we're capable of doing. Look at this brand. Look at what we did. Look at this voice. Look at how we helped them build their donor base. Look at the levels that we've moved them up through. And so it speaks to us as far as our culture, but it also speaks to our capabilities and what we can do as a business as well. So it really is, there's no, I don't think there's anything wrong with going out there and making sure that, people know that it's you that's doing it, but also who you're with, and, getting exposure out there is, any way that you can do it. And if you're going to do it through being a good person and giving back, then do that part.
Yeah, I look at this, and if you're in business, you are a business. And if you want to see real success as a business, you got to think about your legacy. And when I say legacy, you got to think about the impact that you have on people's lives. And you have to remember that your clients, your customers, they are people. They are not just numbers. They're part of a community. And you've got, Nicole, you said it perfectly, you've got to be a part of the community. You just have to. And this is just such a wonderful way to not only really, weave that community around your business and build upon it, but to give back and to make great connections while you do it. It just makes sense, and it makes the biggest difference, and it drives the most success.
True stories. All of those statements are 1,000% true.
That's why I love you, Nicole. Anybody that agrees with me, right?
It's in the mail. But speaking of giving back and helping others, rumor has it there's something that you guys also do that could be very helpful for others. You want to tell a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. So, COVID came last year and kicked everybody's butt. And this is really where it stemmed from. It's called the Forward program that Alison South put together. And our headquarters are up in Augusta, Georgia, and Aiken, South Carolina. And so when we brought Forward down to Florida, coined it, Florida Forward program. So this is something that we were all talking about, and how can Alison South give back, right? We had a lot of clients who needed to get put on pause and couldn't keep up with their invoices, or, marketing is definitely one of the first line items to go when a company starts kind of failing or has a pause, or something like a friggin' pandemic happens and shuts down your business. So we were thinking, we're like, well, how can we give back? We can't just give every single business a whole bunch of money, but what do we offer? What can we offer as Alison South, as a company, and using all of the knowledge and the experience that we have? So we came up with what we have down here, the Florida Forward program. So this is something that we do with businesses, business owners, entrepreneurs. You know, you don't have to be big, you don't have to be small. There's no size in between, or, you know, every size in between is welcome. But we will sit down with owners or the whole company, whoever they have considered as stakeholders, in a room for an hour, and we talk about your marketing and your strategy. And we sit down and we're a sounding board, and, you know, we talk about how can we help you get back up on your feet? How during the whole past year is your company going to survive? Well, let us sit down. Let us talk to you about it. Like, let's talk about some ideas. We love to brainstorm. We've got like 27 whiteboards, you know, in every room of our offices, because we want people writing that stuff down all the time. No idea is a bad idea. So we sit down and we really talk to these businesses and these business owners about what can you do to keep your company and your business running? Because even though marketing is usually the first thing to go as far as pulling money back on advertising and things like that, it's really kind of the worst thing to do is to take all the marketing away and then, you know, have your business kind of lose the forefront and the you know, top of mind that you had. So we sit down with people, we talk about strategies, we give recommendations, we brainstorm together, we let them ask us questions, we ask them questions that maybe they weren't even thinking of before. And we're just here. It's you know, it's just a really collaborative meeting that we provide to people to sit down and talk to them. And there's 0, 0, 0, like, now you guys have to sign up as a client with Alison South. Like, that's not the point of it at all. The whole point of it is to be there and just support businesses who really needed it, who are like, we don't know what steps to take next. We don't know how to keep this afloat. We really need some help. We need some creative solutions. And so that's what Florida Forward does. And I'm happy to talk and sit with anybody about what they think can really help keep their company moving the needle and continually being successful.
Pretty awesome offer there to be able to just give an hour of time. I mean, and that's no small figure if you're sitting down with a board and the stakeholders. That's a big offer out there. So for all our listeners that are tuning in here, if you want to speak to a real expert about this stuff, you got to hit up Nicole here. Hit up Alison South. Hit up Nicole. She's waiting for your calls.
Always, definitely, and it's exciting. It's good for me too. Keeps the creative, you know, muscles flexing.
So the best way, Nicole, for them to reach you, you have AlisonSouthMarketing.com and Nicole at AlisonSouthMarketing.com.
That's right.
Take advantage of those. They'll also be in the show notes.
Yep. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm always on LinkedIn. And you know, my phone is always open to anybody. So, and if you call the Alison South office and you say I'm in Florida, they're just going to send you to me anyways. So pretty easy to find.
And Nicole, do you for our listeners, do you operate just in Florida? I know Alison South is in 5 different locations, but what about you personally?
I personally am just here in Fort Lauderdale. But you know, I will go anywhere and talk to anybody. You know, not many great things came out of COVID, but one good thing is that you can have a Zoom call with somebody now, and it's proven that it can be successful and you can, you know, actually get things done. So I'm happy to talk to anybody from anywhere. We do have offices up in the Carolinas and in Georgia. And so, you know, we're a really heavy Southeast company, but we have clients that are all across the country who are calling us. We're always keeping up with trends nationally. So, you know, we're pretty useful and resourceful for anything that anyone may need.
Fantastic. Thank you.
And if you happen to be in the Fort Lauderdale area, you might just run into Nicole at one of these 100,000 events that she's volunteering at.
Either there or the Las Olas Wine Club, right, Josh?
Right. You know, she's starting to make me feel like I'm not doing enough, and I didn't know that was possible. I'm always out there, and it's like, oh, geez, maybe not. Nicole's putting me to shame. Well, Nicole, thank you for joining us. Loved having you on the show and in the lab here, and just a ton of insight around helping people and how you personally and Alison South have been able to do it. So for all our listeners out there, again, if you've got a need on the brand promotion, on the marketing side, if you just need a sounding board, reach out to Nicole. Her contact information is in the show notes. And Nicole, super excited about everything you're doing out there, and thank you for all you're doing in the community.
Guys, thank you so much for having me in the lab. It was really my pleasure. So I was stoked for the invite and stoked to do it. So good to see you both.
Thank you.
I don't think we could add a better guest when it comes to talking about giving back. Could we have?
It was right on par. It was excellent information, and just with the ease that it came out was just inspiring. Nicole's
an absolute pro. And I think you really could hear that in our conversation today. She just did an absolutely wonderful job sharing the benefit and the get that you get by giving, which is a huge part of our belief. And, really just forming out that concept that, leaving a legacy, making an impact, benefits you in so many ways, and it connects you with so many people, not just your customers who are people, but to all these centers of influence that can really have this massive impact on your business and what you're able to do and the results you can see. It's why we're such big believers in giving back and helping others. And her story, what she does, I mean, it's just straight up inspiring. No other way to put it.
It was right on. I think people get, as she even said jokingly, like, oh, it seems like the most simplest answer of just ask, but funny story on how that all comes to fruition. That's how I wound up on one of the boards that I'm on, was really just asking. I was at an event and I was talking to a colleague, and I'm like, oh, of any boards that are looking? And they grabbed me and ran me across the room to another person and introduced us. And, short weeks later, I'm on the medical advisory board for the Scleroderma Foundation. And that only happened just because I just happened to ask, just randomly. And things like that happen. So don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah, you just had a great event around that, which was pretty awesome to see. All our listeners who have been listening for a while know that I will always put us out there. If we speak to somebody and they have a message or they say something that really sticks out, I'm going to act on it. We've talked about, how I can be an actionable person. And that was not me blowing smoke when I said to Nicole, hey, you let me know where I can help. I want to be a part of it. And I have no doubt by asking, Nicole will find one, if not many more things for me to occupy my time with to give back. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm excited to have it. I'm so pumped we had her as a guest. It's just great conversation today.
It also reminded me that we don't even think about things that we do sometimes, right? We've talked about our time course over and over on the podcast, but I don't know if we've ever mentioned on this actual show. I know we mentioned other places, but that we have a scholarship for that course on our website. You go there and you apply for one of the scholarships to try to help people that need it, that would really benefit from it, but don't have the means to. And I don't know why we haven't talked about that more, but that's one of the things, as simple as you kind of sometimes just overlook things that you do all the time, but you have to promote it because then nobody knows about it. So keep that in mind, what we were saying earlier about it is good to do good, and it is good to talk about doing good.
Yeah, what a great point, Doc, because we don't talk about that scholarship, but that is actually out there for people of need who could benefit from what we offer that wouldn't otherwise be able to access it. And we recognize that, and we want to lift up other people. And we had that thought well before we really defined our Be Rich mindset, well before we created the Entrepreneurial Mastery Lab. And we created this community environment of like-minded people who have that desire to really be rich. And I'm so excited to have Nicole as a part of the community and the group. She's just going to help, spread that passion and that joy. And hopefully we can do a little of the same going forward.
And if you want to reach out to us, you can find us. Of course, in the show notes, we have a lot of the links. You can find us on our website, jbandthedoctor.com. You can contact us by email at podcast@jbandthedoctor.com. You can go on Instagram at jbandthedoctor.com. You catch the theme here, right? JB and the Doctor a lot. But check us all out anywhere on all the social media platforms. We'd love to hear from you. Leave some comments in the group and tell us what else you want to do. Share some of what you guys are doing in your days to give back? Maybe you can inspire some new ideas for us.
And if you're listening and you've got an inspiring story, or you've got something you want to share that you think will be of value to our other listeners, reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you about potentially being a guest. We are all about giving back, and that's what we want to try to do. With that, Doc, I think it's that time of day here. I'm JB, and I'll saw you later.
I'm the doctor. Peace out, yo.